Pictured is a fire safety training session at McGuire Hospital, USA, 1965. The head of the Occupational Safety and Health Service, Clifford Roberts, demonstrates fire extinguishing methods on himself as part of a training course for medical staff. In the photo, the actress poses next to a dummy mummified body on the set. The black and white image was probably taken in the 1980s and 1990s and reflects the behind-the-scenes creation of horror or fantasy films. This photo was taken in the 1990s. The woman moved to a nursing home, where she was visited and photographed by her relatives. There was no one else with them that day. But in the developed image, there is a man hovering behind the woman. According to her, this is her husband, who died 13 years before the picture was taken. The photo shows a mysterious carcass raised by the Japanese trawler Zuya Maru in 1977. The creature resembled a plesiosaur, but tests showed that it was the decomposing corpse of a giant shark. The story has given rise to many theories and is still controversial among researchers. The photo shows an anatomical model of a woman made of ivory, probably from the 18th century. Such miniatures were used for medical training and education, especially among obstetricians. The organs inside are removed in layers, and the coffin-shaped case is a symbolic reminder of the fragility of life. The photo shows an iconic scene from the filming of Jaws, 1975. A huge mechanical shark, nicknamed Bruce, was used to create one of the most intense moments in movie history. Steven Spielberg's film became a classic thriller and set new standards for cinema. The photo shows a test of an early model of body armor in New York, 1924. The inventor personally demonstrates the effectiveness of protection by allowing himself to be shot at close range. The scene looks shocking, but that's how new inventions were proven to work at the time. In 1925, teacher John Scopes went on trial in Tennessee for teaching the theory of evolution, which violated local law. This process has become a symbol of the struggle of science against religious censorship. The photo shows the mass disposal of contaminated belongings of Pripyat residents after the Chernobyl accident in 1986. All the property that came into contact with radiation was considered dangerous and buried under layers of earth. This is one of the most tragic and symbolic episodes of the nuclear disaster. The photo shows Buddhist nuns from Tibet with traditional hairstyles in which sheep's wool is woven. Such styling symbolizes a connection with nature, spiritual strength, and local cultural roots. The picture is a rare evidence of the unique way of life of the mountain monastery. The photo shows a unique star map created about 300 years ago by the Skeety tribe, one of the branches of the Pawnee people. It is made of treated leather and displays the night sky with high accuracy. This map was used not only for navigation, but also had spiritual significance in rituals and mythology. The photo shows an ominous scene in Florida. Dozens of pairs of glowing eyes of crocodiles and alligators reflect the camera flash in dark swamp waters. This is a reminder of why night walks in such places are an extremely bad idea. The photo shows a breathtaking view from the top of Huayna Picchu, a mountain near the ancient city of Machu Picchu in Peru. Tourists descend the narrow and steep Inca steps laid along the cliff. This is one of the most impressive and dangerous hiking spots in South America. In the photo is Typhoid Mary, Mary Mallon, the first identified asymptomatic carrier of typhoid fever in the United States. Working as a cook, she infected the families she cooked for while remaining healthy herself. Her case has become a precedent in epidemiology, and isolation is one of the most controversial measures in the history of public health. The photo shows the grave of Filipino gangster Marcelo Malonzo enclosed in a cage. He was buried in this way at the request of local residents to lock up his soul and prevent the return of the spirit. This unusual burial site has become an urban legend and a symbol of popular superstition. The photo shows a street lamp illuminating the last stretch of road before the darkness that stretches for hundreds of kilometers. A single pillar of light in the absolute darkness seems to separate civilization from the wild unknown. The photo shows a colony of bats during the breeding season. The females hang from the ceiling of the cave, clutching their pink cubs. This cluster of newborns is called a nursery, where babies grow up safely until they are strong enough for their first flight. The photo shows a mother centipede curled up in a ring around her brood. This behavior is typical for some species. It protects the offspring with its body until the young individuals get stronger. Surprisingly, even such creatures show a form of caring. In the photo, a man is watching a storm or hurricane raging right behind a glass wall from his house. The flooded veranda, the destroyed pier, and the storm outside the window create a frightening sense of calm before the chaos. The photo shows the arrest of British suffragette Emmeline Pankhurst in 1914. She was a leader of the women's suffrage movement, fighting for equality with amazing determination. There were still 6 years left before the adoption of a law in the United States prohibiting gender discrimination in elections. The picture has become a symbol of the struggle for women's rights around the world. The photo shows an unusual and provocative entertainment from 1947. Invented by the American gunsmith Melvin Johnson, the men were asked to fire an air rifle at balloons covering a naked model. Such a show was intended exclusively for a wealthy audience and is now perceived as extremely controversial. In the photo, 1943, evacuated from besieged Leningrad, ballet school students continue training in a village near Perm. The locals built an improvised machine for them. Despite the war, famine and deprivation, art and the desire for beauty have not died out. The photo shows a medieval heart, shaped reliquary containing the heart of St. Lawrence O'Toole, Archbishop of Dublin in the 12th century. Such relics had a special meaning for believers, symbolizing holiness and spiritual heritage. Today, the reliquary is displayed in the museum as a historical and cultural value. The photo shows the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, 1987. About 800,000 people gathered here in honor of the 50th anniversary of its opening. Due to the weight of the crowd, the bridge temporarily sagged by 2 meters, and its characteristic bend almost disappeared. But the structure stood without damage. This was a clear proof of outstanding engineering precision. The photo shows the diary entry of Theodore Roosevelt, dated February 14, 1884, made on the day when, with a difference of 11 hours, he lost 2 of his closest women at once, his mother and his wife. During the same period, his daughter was born. In his diary, he left only one phrase: "The light has gone out of my life. The light has gone out of my life." This page has become a symbol of the personal tragedy of the future President of the United States. The photo shows an electrotherapeutic device of the early 20th century used to treat rheumatism. The patient was placed in special baths through which an electric current was passed. Such methods were considered advanced at the time, although their effectiveness is questionable today. The photo shows richly decorated leg armor, greaves, from the time of the Ottoman Empire, 15th to 16th centuries. They are made of steel inlaid with silver, including Arabic calligraphy, often with prayers, names of owners, or symbols of protection. Such armor served not only as protection, but also as a demonstration of the warrior's status. The photo shows a giant sinkhole in Solikamsk, Perm Krai, formed in 2014 due to a collapse of the soil over a potash mine. Initially, its diameter was about 40 meters, but over time, it expanded to 180 plus. This is a satellite image that frighteningly clearly shows the scale of the destruction, an example of how unstable the ground can be under our feet. The photo shows a mysterious triangle in the Nevada desert, visible even on satellite images. The object has given rise to many theories, from a 1952 UFO crash to a secret military base. However, there is no official information about his appointment. Perhaps it's just an abandoned airfield, but its shape and isolation continue to excite the imagination. The photo shows the Emesa helmet, a luxurious Roman cavalry helmet from the beginning of the 1st century AD, discovered in 1936 in Emesa, now Homs, Syria. Made of iron and plated with silver, it served not only as protection, but also as a status symbol. Such helmets were used during parades and military ceremonies, emphasizing the power and prestige of the Roman army. The photo shows the Mesopotamian swamps in Iraq, 1974. This is a unique ecoregion where the marsh people live, who have been building houses from reeds right on the water for centuries. Their lifestyle has hardly changed since the time of the Sumerians. The marshes were considered the Venice of the Middle East until they were partially drained at the end of the 20th century. The photo shows golden sandals that belonged to the Queen of Pharaoh Thutmose III, circa 1479-1425 BC. Such products were a symbol of power and divine status. While ordinary Egyptians wore shoes made of leather or grass, the nobility could afford such luxury, emphasizing their position even in the afterlife. The photo shows a rare and frightening moment. A typhoon or waterspout is forming over the sea. A thin funnel connecting the sky and water is a harbinger of a powerful element. Such a natural phenomenon simultaneously fascinates with its beauty and inspires respect with its destructive power. The photo shows the same place with a difference of 60 years, the square in front of the Palace of the Dukes of Burgundy in Dijon, France. The top picture was taken on June 17, 1940, when German troops entered the city during World War II. The lower photo shows peaceful modernity, where people are walking on the same square. The contrast between the past and the present speaks more than words. The photo shows the handprint of an ancient man, left on the cave wall about 27,000 years ago. Such images were often created by blowing paint around a palm pressed against the surface. This is a mute but powerful trace of human presence in the prehistoric era, like a message through the millennia. The photo shows the brothers Michael and Edmund Navratil, the youngest surviving passengers of the Titanic, who found themselves on board without their mother. Their father, hiding after the divorce, put the children on a liner under false names, hoping to start a new life in America. When the ship began to sink, he managed to put his sons in a lifeboat, but he himself died. The boys were rescued, but they did not speak English and remained unknown for a long time. Their story shocked the whole world, and soon their mother identified them from photographs. The image shows a visual comparison of the size of Comet 67P Churyumov, Gerasimenko, with a large city. The comet, which has a diameter of about 4 kilometers, seems gigantic in relation to urban buildings. This visual montage helps to realize the scale of cosmic bodies, which usually look like tiny dots in photographs, a real reminder of how small our planet is in the scale of the universe. The photo shows 2 female workers on the assembly line of the Wartburg factory in the GDR in the 1970s. They are assembling the back of a Wartburg 353 car, a popular model in Eastern Europe. This satellite image is an ominous reminder of a shipwreck. This is the hull of the SS Jassim, a cargo ship with a length of more than 80 meters, which sank in December 2003 at Wingate Reef, in the Red Sea off the coast of Sudan. Immersed in azure waters, the ship today looks like a shadow of the past, frozen in eternity. Its snow-white body, half hidden under the surface, is still visible even from space. It is one of the largest ships sunk in shallow waters and accessible for satellite viewing. Today, SS Jassim is an object of attraction for divers, adventurers, and lovers of marine mysteries. The photo shows a Robert doll, one of the most creepy museum exhibits in the United States. According to legend, it was created by a servant using voodoo magic and given to a boy named Robert Otto in 1906. Since then, strange things began to happen in the house. Laughter, voices, and the frightening movement of the doll. Robert became afraid of the toy, and it was taken to the attic. Later, the doll was found by new residents, and it all started again. Today, Robert is kept in a museum in Florida, and, according to rumors, he still brings misfortune to those who photograph him without permission. Anna Baker's wedding dress is a reminder of a broken heart. In 1849, she fell in love with a simple worker, but her father forbade the marriage. The dress she never wore is now in the museum. They say that when the moon is full, it swings by itself, as if Anna is still waiting for her fiancé. A house in the Canary Islands is completely covered by volcanic ash after an eruption in 2021. At that time, about 10 billion cubic meters of ash were released into the atmosphere, a dark and eerily beautiful symbol of the destructive power of nature. The photo shows a rare German cleaver with an engraved calendar for the year 1528. Such items combine the functionality of weapons and symbolic meaning. The calendar was probably used as an amulet or a commemorative image. The photo shows dark hedges, one of the most mysterious and cinematic alleys in the world. The curved branches of the beeches, intertwining above the road, create the feeling of a tunnel into another world. This place really looks like it came down from the pages of a fairy tale or a dark legend. Unsurprisingly, this is where the scenes for Game of Thrones were filmed, and tourists from all over the world are eager to walk along this sinister but beautiful road in Northern Ireland. Here is a rare example of a ring weapon. The the Chicago Palm pistol, manufactured in the USA in 1890. It did not have a trigger in the usual sense. The shooter squeezed it in the palm of his hand, and the shot was triggered. It was loaded with 7 rounds of caliber .32. Its unique shape and principle of operation made it popular among gentlemen of the late 19th century as a concealed carry weapon, stylish, compact, and deadly. There is still an inscription on the glass of the Winter Palace, scratched with a diamond by the hand of Empress Alexandra Feodorovna. Presumably it says, Missy, 1902, looking at the Hussars, 18 March. What exactly these words mean is not completely clear. Perhaps it's a memory of his daughter, or a personal moment that has become a mute testimony of a bygone era. A picture that scares and fascinates. A polar bear peeks through the window of a coastal cabin somewhere in the Arctic. It's unclear if it's curiosity, hunger, or aggression, but the moment is caught perfectly. And outside the window, there is an endless landscape and a parked plane. A fragile window is the only thing that separates humans from the wild. In 1974, ordinary farmers accidentally stumbled upon one of the greatest archaeological finds, the terracotta army of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. Thousands of clay soldiers, each with a unique face, stood in eternal combat readiness. It is believed that after this discovery, the life of the farmers themselves went downhill. Their houses were demolished, their lands were taken away, and some began to talk about the curse of the army that guarded its ruler even after death. A flock of starlings over Rome. Every winter, millions of starlings fill the sky above the Italian capital, creating hypnotic patterns. This phenomenon is called muration, the synchronous and dense movement of a huge flock. Despite the beauty, the inhabitants of Rome are not thrilled. After the raid, kilometers of streets remain covered with bird droppings. The X-ray shows a lot of small metal granules stuck in the patient's skull. The story behind this picture is almost anecdotal. A few years ago, he was accidentally wounded by his own wife. She was shooting at a raccoon, but hit her husband. Since then, the shot has remained in his head, and he came to the doctor only when the pain began. I'm a contractor. He was engaged in the renovation of an old, long-abandoned house, and that's what greeted me in the basement, in one of the toilets. A doll's head with a creepy expression sticking out of the toilet bowl. You'll never forget that. Oregon, USA. A forest fire is closing in on a golf course, and people keep playing. One of the most absurd and disturbing images is as if 2 worlds collided at the same moment. 1972, the Apollo 17 mission. One of the astronauts is working on the surface of the moon, but in the reflection of his helmet is a figure dressed not in a spacesuit, but in ordinary clothes. No protection, no helmet. NASA did not publish this photo because there are too many questions. Who is it? A technician on set? Or someone who shouldn't have been in the picture? There is still no official explanation. What do you think? I set up my tent at dusk, tired after a long walk through the forest. The place seemed quiet. The river, the trees, the birds singing. I woke up to a strange sound, like someone slowly shuffling on the ground. He opened the tent's zipper, and he froze. Alligators were lying around, a lot. Calm, huge, black as night. I didn't know what to do. It seems like moving is the worst idea. So I lay inside for most of the day, listening to my breathing and hoping they weren't hungry. What would you do? At first I thought it was a montage. Well, a humpback whale can't just lie among the tropical trees deep in the Amazon. But this is no joke. In 2019, the dead body of a huge whale was actually discovered in the jungles of Brazil, 15 meters from the coast. Scientists suggest that it was thrown out by a storm at high tide, and then the water receded. But why the whale ended up so far away and no one noticed is still a mystery. An advertisement from an old newspaper offers a convenient way to transport a goat in a canvas bag with a hole for the head attached to the footboard of the car. Yes, literally, the goat's head is sticking out, and she herself is hanging from the side of the car. It's hard to say how convenient it was for the goat, but it was definitely remembered as one of the most absurd ways to transport animals in history. The photo shows the moment when the wave seems to revive the sea god. It seems that Neptune himself emerges from the abyss with a trident in his hand. In fact, It is a sculpture created by the Spanish master Luis Arencibia Betancourt on the island of Gran Canaria in 2001. The uniqueness of this statue is that it appears from the water only during waves and then disappears again, as if diving back into the ocean. The photo shows a collection of antique billiard tables, neatly displayed under glass in the form of a coffee table. This is a traditional game in which you need to toss a ball and catch it on a spike or in a bowl attached to a handle. The photo shows shaped clouds, mammatus clouds, one of the rarest and most impressive atmospheric phenomena. These clouds form on the underside of the anvil of thunderclouds and look as if the sky has sagged. They often accompany powerful thunderstorm fronts, tropical cyclones, and sometimes portend heavy rainfall or storms. Despite their frightening appearance, such clouds themselves are not dangerous. The photo shows the traditional trizna of the Mari people, recorded around 1900. Trizna is an ancient rite of commemoration of the dead, preserved by the Mari people, who profess paganism. The picture shows how the participants of the ceremony, in traditional clothes, perform sacrifices and prayers in the forest, addressing the spirits of their ancestors. Such rituals were accompanied by chants, dishes on the altar, and strict rites of worship, often with kneeling. In 2013, photos of the snow-covered pyramids and the Sphinx in Egypt spread across the internet. Many believed that snow had fallen in the desert for the first time in 100 years, but it turned out later. This is not Egypt, but a Japanese park with replicas of the sites. The photo even shows the top of the Eiffel Tower, another proof of forgery. Despite the revelations, the fake is still running around the web. The photo shows the Avrakar, an experimental disc-shaped aircraft developed in the 1950s by Canada and the United States. He was supposed to take off vertically and serve in the Army, but the project was closed due to handling problems. Despite the failure, the Avrakar has become an iconic symbol of the Cold War era and flying saucers. This photo is often attributed to conspiracy theories about climate weapons, but in fact, the picture shows HAARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, a scientific research center in Alaska. He studies the ionosphere for communication and navigation rather than controlling the weather. However, due to the appearance and secrecy of the project, HAARP has become a popular topic for conspiracy theorists. This famous image from the NASA Mars rover captures a stone formation, the shape of which resembles a human silhouette. Some enthusiasts are sure that this is proof of life on Mars. However, scientists attribute this phenomenon to the pareidolia effect, a tendency to see familiar images in random forms. The height of the figure is only about 6 inches, and most likely it's just a stone, a play of light and shadow. The picture shows a powerful laser weapon system developed as part of U.S. military programs. This type of system is capable of disabling aircraft, including drones, rockets, and even satellites. Lasers of this class direct a concentrated energy beam with high precision, which makes them one of the most promising types of weapons of the future. The photo shows the impressive remains of an ancient creature discovered by archaeologists. These massive bones do not belong to a dinosaur, but rather to a large prehistoric mammal. Scientists believe that such giants lived on Earth tens of thousands of years ago and disappeared during the last ice age. The photo shows the legendary Gates of Hell in Turkmenistan. This giant burning crater was formed in 1971 when geologists accidentally fell into an underground cavity filled with gas. To avoid releasing methane, they decided to set it on fire, hoping that the flame would go out in a few days. However, the fire has not subsided so far. A U.S. Navy plane travels through a flow-induced vaporization off the coast of South Korea on July 7, 1999. This phenomenon occurs when planes of a certain shape travel through humid air, causing abrupt air temperature and pressure variations that create the kinds of oddly shaped vapor clouds seen above. In the photo is Sister Mary Kenneth Keller, a Catholic nun and pioneer in the field of computer science. In 1965, she became the first woman in the United States to receive a doctorate in computer science. She also participated in the development of the BASIC programming language, opening the way for millions of students and teachers to the world of programming. The photo shows Afghan mujahideen performing prayer in the mountains during the Afghan War, the 1980s. Their weapons are neatly laid out in front of them, showing a combination of faith and military discipline in conflict. The photo shows mysterious underwater circles discovered off the coast of Japan. They are created by male blowfish, drawing complex symmetrical patterns on the sandy bottom in order to attract females. These sand mandalas serve not only as a demonstration of the agility and health of the male, but also as a nest for future offspring, the real underwater art of nature. In the photo, Vietnamese peasants are making a pit trap with pointed stakes, camouflaged from above with grass or branches. Such primitive but effective devices were actively used by Viet Cong fighters during the Vietnam War, 1955-1975, against American soldiers. Despite their simplicity, such traps caused serious injury and caused fear in the enemy. On October 18, 1941, the Soviet Kalinin tank was disabled and captured by German troops. The crew was captured. The fate of the crew members after that remains unknown. In the photo, German soldiers inspect a captured tank. The photo shows bioluminescent waves illuminating the beaches of the Maldives. This glow is created by microscopic organisms, phytoplankton, which have the ability to luminesce. When the water moves, they flash, turning the shore into a magical picture of nightlight. The photo shows a rare watermill with 3 impellers. The picture was taken on the Vorskla River in 1910. Such mills used the force of the current to grind grain and were an important part of rural life in pre-revolutionary Russia. The photo shows a traditional carved mask of the Maori, an indigenous people of New Zealand. Such masks symbolize the spirit of a fallen warrior and were often decorated with ritual patterns resembling a moko tattoo. According to legend, the mask is safe for men, but it is considered dangerous for women during special periods. Touching can cause illness and unhappiness. The photo shows a rare historical moment, the transplantation of an adult tree in Poland, the 1930s. Workers carefully strengthened the root system in a wooden barrel, preparing for transportation. Such a move required not only physical strength, but also engineering precision. The tree was kept alive and transplanted to a new location. This is a self, remembering machine created by Tom Haywood in North Carolina in the middle of the 20th century. The device allowed you to literally kick yourself. A person stood in the frame and turned the handle, setting in motion a mechanical leg. The inscription read, "If we kick ourselves more often, we'll kick others less often." Don Haywood. The ironic invention quickly became a symbol of the absurd humor and unusual engineering ideas of the United States. The photo shows cabbage harvesting in a Russian village, 1914. Everyone was involved. The women chopped the cabbage with special knives. The men sprinkled it with salt and put it in barrels. Such blanks provided food for the entire long winter, without refrigerators and supermarkets. The photo shows an antique gas heater from the 1930s. The metal body, ventilation slots, and a faucet in the front indicate that the device was used to heat water or supply warm air. The swivel faucet, stable legs, and the characteristic enameled color are typical for household appliances of that time. The photo shows employees of online systems, later Sierra Online, posing in a jacuzzi with a computer and a waiter, a scene created for the cover of the world's first erotic computer game, USA, 1981. The game was called Soft Porn Adventure and was released on the Apple II. This photo has become a cult, and the game itself is a harbinger of a whole genre. The photo shows a legendary moment. Metallica performs in San Quentin prison in front of prisoners, 2003. The band not only gave a free concert, but also donated $10,000 for the construction of a baseball field for convicts. A happy grandmother with a plant that won first prize at a rural fair in California City, 1973. The photo shows the moment when the award for the best ornamental plant was presented. Despite the unusual appearance, at that time, not everyone understood what exactly grows in this pot. It's not just photos of sand and people. The picture shows the founding moment of the future Tel Aviv. About 100 people, armed with shells with numbers, draw lots and divide the sand dunes on the shore. In a couple of decades, one of the largest cities in Israel will grow up here. In 2009, Maldives President Mohammed Nasheed held an underwater government meeting to draw attention to the threat of rising ocean levels due to climate change. Ministers in scuba gear signed an appeal at the bottom of the sea, a symbol that their country may soon go underwater. This is the first known photo with an obscene gesture. Baseball player Charles Radbourne gives the middle finger, probably out of dislike for the photographer. The picture was taken in 1879 and has become a historical one. In the photo, sculptor Anna Coleman Ladd applies details to a mask for a soldier disfigured in the war. At the beginning of the 20th century, when plastic surgery was still imperfect, such masks became a salvation. They didn't completely restore their face, but they helped people feel worthy again, create families, and move on. The photo shows the Baghdad Battery, a mysterious artifact about 2,000 years old. It was found near Baghdad in the 1930s. The vessel contains a copper cylinder and an iron rod. When acid is added, the structure can generate current. Perhaps it was a primitive battery, but its exact purpose is still unknown. In the photo is Robert Pershing Wadlow, the tallest man in the history of medicine. His height was 272 centimeters and his weight was 199 calories. Despite his impressive size, he lived only 22 years and died in 1940. His record has not been beaten yet. The photo shows Ethel Granger, the woman with the thinnest waist in history. In 1957, her waist was only 33 centimeters. She wore corsets around the clock, even in her sleep, at her husband's request. For his sake, she added heels, piercings, and extreme fashion to her look. This record is recorded in the Guinness Book of Records. The photo shows the on-the-go mail collection system used in the USA in 1912. The mail trains, without stopping, hooked the bags of letters with a special hook right on the move. This made it possible to speed up delivery and not waste time on stops, a unique engineering solution for its time. In the photo is Jonathan, the oldest known land turtle in the world. He was born around 1832 and lives on the island of St. Helena. At the time of the shooting, March 2020, he was about 188 years old. Despite his advanced age, he is still active, lives on the territory of the governor's residence, and is under the constant care of veterinarians. The Piri Reis map, created in 1513, is striking in its accuracy. It shows parts of South America and possibly Antarctica long before its discovery. It still causes controversy. How did they manage to apply such details in the 16th century without satellites and aviation? The photo shows the Boat of Jesus, found in 1986 on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. Radiocarbon dating has shown that it is about 2,000 years old. Although there is no direct evidence that Christ himself sailed on it, the find coincides in time and place with his life and has become an important symbol for Christians and historians. The photo shows one of the famous Nazca geoglyphs in Peru, discovered in the 1930s. These giant drawings, created by the ancient Nazca culture, depict animals, plants, and abstract shapes. It's not only their scale that surprises, but also their accuracy, because the figures are visible only from a height. How exactly the Nazca people were able to create such accurate images without being able to observe them from above is still a mystery. The photo shows a rare coincidence. Two twin sisters living in different districts of Minsk accidentally ended up in the same hospital and gave birth to their sons on the same day in 1967. There was an amazing synchronicity, as if the connection between them remained at a deep level despite the distance. This is a rare and illegally taken photo taken from the top of the Pyramid of Cheops, Khufu, in Giza. In Egypt, climbing the pyramids is strictly prohibited by law and is punishable by heavy fines or arrest. Nevertheless, several brave souls secretly went upstairs over the years to take such pictures. The photo shows a German V-1 rocket moments before hitting London during World War II. This is one of the rare images that captured the moment before the fall. The characteristic sound of its engine would suddenly stop, and an explosion would follow seconds later. In the photo is Johan Christian Pedersen, known as the Icelandic Giant. His height was 2.34 meters, and in 1950 he was one of the tallest public figures in Europe. In the photo, Egyptian children taste cola for the first time, 1946. The moment of joy and surprise is imprinted on their faces, becoming a symbol of the beginning of the global influence of American culture. The photo shows Jim Gernhardt, a shopkeeper from the United States, who began rehearsing his own funeral at the age of 75. He tried on the coffin and the farewell scene every year until his death at the age of 103. The photo shows a traditional Indian wooden stamp for printed textiles. It is manually dipped in paint and pressed against the fabric to create a repeating pattern. Such stamps are often used to decorate saris, shawls, and tablecloths. The photo shows a Native American couple taken in 1886 by photographer A. Ross. The man is dressed in a rich suit with jewelry and holds a rifle, while the woman sits next to him, covered with a traditional plaid. The image reflects a combination of cultural identity and the influence of the era. The photo shows Cheryl Brown, who made history as the first African-American participant in the Miss America pageant in 1971. Her participation was an important milestone on the path to racial equality and changing standards of beauty in the United States. The photo shows the mystery of the disappearance of the ship Joyita, 1955. The ship was found half submerged but completely abandoned. 25 people disappeared without a trace. The body was never found. The ship was considered unsinkable, and that's what makes the incident particularly disturbing. Why did the crew abandon ship? What happened? It is still one of the most mysterious marine mysteries of the 20th century. Meat rain in Kentucky, 1876. Chunks of meat began to fall from the sky while the woman was making soap on the porch. Scientists decided that it was the vomiting of buzzards. One bird regurgitated food, and the rest repeated. This is how the strangest rain in the history of the United States appeared. An abandoned dinghy on Bouvet Island. On the most remote island of the planet, in the middle of glaciers and volcanic rock, there is a lone dinghy. No one knows where she came from, how she got there, or where the crew went. No footprints, no remains. Only the boat is like a reminder of someone's untold story.